Hi everyone, I'm going to share with you today 5 facts about false eyes, and they get a bit grosser as we go through the list, so stay tuned to the end for if you're into grossness. Fact 1 is you don't buy them off the shelf, you have them made. So years ago, you used to have to go to like an optometrist and pick one out of a cabinet that looked vaguely the right size and colour to match your other eye, assuming you've got another eye. But these days, they are made by an ocularist. So ocularists are somebody who has a multitude of skills. Firstly, they have the same skills as a dental technician because it is the same process to make a prosthetic eye as it is to make false teeth. Also, they use the same equipment. And secondly, they also need to be an artist. They actually paint the eye. So they have a pupil, an iris, which is the coloured bit, and then the whites of the eye. But the whites of the eye just aren't white, right? They have blood vessels painted on because it would look really weird to have an eye without any sort of blood vessels or anything. And it's not that your eye looks bloodshot. If you have a look at your eyes closely, you can see that there are little blood vessels or little veins in there with bits of red in the corner. So check that out when you next look in the mirror. Fact 2 is they're not set and forget. So you do need to replace your prosthetic eye once every 6 to 8 years approximately, depending on the individual. And you need to do that because eyes don't last forever, but the shape of your face changes over time. So it is important to make sure that the eye fits well all the time because an ill-fitting eye causes lots of problems. That's for another video, but you do need to maintain the eye that you have. As you can see, I don't have my eye in today. I've got a patch on it, or as I tell my great nephew, I've got a band-aid on my eye. You do need to maintain it. You need to get it polished every 6 to 12 months. And the polishing is really, as it sounds, it is polishing the eye up to be shiny. If you look at your eye, they do glisten because they do get dull over time. But importantly, polishing is about getting the proteins off and the gunk that your body makes and deposits on the eye. Because look, it's not a natural thing to have an eye sitting in that's not yours, sitting in your eye socket. So polishing is important, as is removal every week or so to give it a good clean. That brings us to number 3, and some prosthetic eyes actually move. Not everybody's does. It depends on the type of operation that you had when you had your eye removed. And we're not talking move like along the bench. I wish I had a visual for that. We're talking about moving in your head. I have a little bit of movement with my prosthesis, and that's because when I had my eye removed, the doctors were able to save the muscles. The doctors say that my eye doesn't have as much movement as they would have hoped. Even so, when I look left or right, it moves a little bit. So I have nystagmus, which is involuntary movement. I can't see it, but my prosthesis apparently moves too. So isn't that fun? Which brings us to number 4. Prosthetic eyes don't just fall out of your head. Well, they can actually, which is why the first couple of points are so important to make sure that you get an eye that is made to order and fits, and also that you maintain that eye to make sure that it is comfortable and isn't loose in your head. I have had a loose eye in my head once, which was my first false eye, because I didn't know how it was meant to feel. I would be looking straight ahead and then I would have my prosthesis looking over my shoulder. It was not a good look. And it didn't fall out, but it was loose or it would dislodge. And some people's eyes, depending on how old it is and depending on how well it fits, can actually dislodge quite easily or fall out. Not just fall out when you tip your head, but with a bit of shaking and stuff, it can do that. Most prosthetics these days, they don't do that at all. The other thing is you do need to be able to get your eye out. So there needs to be like a popping mechanism. And the popping mechanism, folks, is pressure on the lower eyelid, and that will pop the bottom of the prosthetic out, and you can grab it and just take it out. Bit of a story. I was in Thailand or somewhere about 10 years ago, and I was having a beautiful massage and scalp massage and face. It was just lovely until the lady got near my eye. And folks, the eye didn't pop out because I sat up and screamed. And then the poor girl, she screamed. People must have wondered what was going on in our cubicle. But anyway, I felt so bad for her because she thought she'd done something wrong, and she hadn't. It's just that it's a really sensitive physically sensitive area, and any pressure on that, anywhere near that lower eyelid, always makes me think, oh my goodness, my eye is about to go pop. Stay tuned, folks, for more of those stories. And the last one, folks, is prosthetics these days, false eyes, are not made of glass. Last time they were made of glass, at least in first world countries, was probably 50, 70 years ago. Glass is problematic, and I'll come to why in a minute, but eyes these days are made out of plastic. And the plastic is called polymethyl methacrylate, PMMC, which sounds a little bit like a drug, but it's not, folks. They're plastic because they're easier to mold and they're not temperature sensitive. Glass is. So if you actually have a change of temperature that's quick, glass can actually shatter. So a false eye can shatter in somebody's head. The gory bit of that is the getting out of the shattered glass out of somebody's eye socket. You can sort of imagine that it's not going to be pleasant, right? Think along the lines of bike wheel spoke and the little hooky bit on the end of that. Maybe I will not say any more than that. I've got lots of these stories, folks, and I'm going to make a series on prosthetics. So stay tuned for that. Let me know in the comments if you'd like that or not. And also let me know if you've got any weird questions about prosthetics, because false eyes are not that common. If there's something you want to know, let me know. And if you like this video, please feel free to subscribe and like, because not only does it help me out, but there's plenty more weird facts about blindness and prosthetics yet to come. Bye all.